guys, I was asked to share a story about courage. And I really kind of need to go and tell you a little bit about my testimony of how I came to Christ before I do that. So, when I was a kid, we grew up, typical Christian family, going to church every Sunday, doing all this stuff, till about middle school when my parents got divorced. Then we became your typical holiday Christian. We went now and then. I didn't know Jesus. I knew the stories of Jesus, but I didn't know who he was. And then at 24 years old, I got my girlfriend pregnant. We got married. By 28, I had 2 boys. And by 30, we kind of figured out that, hey, we need to go to church, because that's what you do. That's kind of, you have kids, you got to bring them to church. That's what our families did, and that's kind of what you do. So a short time after we were going to church, I met a missionary, and we were talking. I shared with her my story about, hey, we're going to church, but something's missing, and I have a dilemma. I've got this thing that every time I go to church, halfway through I'm doing this. I'm looking on my watch. When's it going to end? And it's really not the Jesus experience. I wasn't doing it. And so I shared that with her. She said, hey, have you ever accepted Jesus? And, I don't know. I believe in him. She goes, but have you ever accepted him? And I'm like, I really don't know how to do that. And she said, when you're ready, just ask him with your heart. And I said, okay. And I left, and I was driving down the road. I remember the Lake Underhill Road, and I just started praying. And I asked Jesus, I just said, Lord, I surrender. I want you. And it was just driving right now. Right? I was bawling. I'm not bawling now, but I was in tears. I should probably have been driving. It was just a huge thing, and that was huge for me. And I went with well, let me just say where the story, the courage comes from. So I don't know if you really even call it courage, but I think Don in 2013 he gave a sermon about listening to God, right, hearing God, and also through some sermons you talk about every morning that you got up in the morning and you sought God's advice and just you had to start your day with God, and I started doing that. I started doing that back in probably 13 or whenever I heard that, and it was huge. And in 2018, and I'm living in the corporate world. I've been in the corporate world for 30 years, and I was done. And I asked God every day. I get up in the morning and I just pray, Lord, get me out of this. I need something different. And I trusted He was going to do that. And in 2019 He did. I walked into work and I got fired. It wasn't what I was expecting, right? God, I wasn't expecting that. I was making a lot of money. My wife was making a lot of money. But it was God's plan. I gotta tell you, I had peace. That even though everything was unknown coming up, I had peace. Until I told my wife. And then I kind of changed, but she supported it. Through that whole time, I started going through some interviews. And every interview they ask you, right, why are you looking for employment? Why did you quit? And I just told them, I got fired. And I told them why. It's like, if God's in it, you can't really lie about it, right? I mean, I looked at it this way. That if God wants me to be somewhere, He's going to open that door. It doesn't matter what I say. God's going to put me there. Also, part of it, and I also told him in the interview that if you employ me, I'm going to be late on Thursdays because I have Bible study. And I said that in every interview. And finally, someone hired me, and it was great. And I don't know that that's really courage. I think that's more trusting that God's going to do what He said He's going to do. He's going to provide. And I just pray that you guys have that courage in everyday week. I fail a lot of times. But God always gives me that courage when I wake up in the morning. So, had I not listened to Him, I would have never opened the door. 30 years ago, I would have never done that. And I'm blessed. God's given me so much. I have a wife for 37 years. I have 2 boys that follow Jesus, granddaughters that love Jesus, and it's all because of God. So,